What is going on, Diablo 2 fans? Sorc here, and in case you haven't figured it out yet from the title of this video, the character that I'm going to be breaking down is the Fire Sorceress. Now, before you click off this video and think it's garbage and clickbait, I think that I will probably convince you guys by the end of this video. It's definitely a character worthwhile playing if you want to be different, farm some niche focus areas, still have the potential to drop amazing loot, including every single item in the game. Definitely a somewhat overlooked character in my opinion. Although, if I'm being entirely honest, it does suffer from two fatal flaws, which I will cover in today's video. Like all of my previous build videos, I will have timestamps in the description below, so if you guys want to navigate between certain segments of the video, like the attributes, the skill tree, gear, or gameplay, they're there for you guys to use, so please take advantage of them. And also, a quick reminder, if you guys do enjoy my YouTube content, I do stream twice a week on Twitch, and I do have the link for my Twitch channel in the description below, twitch.com/Sorc125, so any follows over there on that platform would be very much appreciated. Other than that, guys, let's just jump into today's video. The first thing that I'm going to cover, and it's very straightforward and boring, is just the attributes. I am a standard max Vitus setup, so 156 strength to equip the Rumored Spirit and Monarch Shield, and then I'm using the full tile set. Again, more on that when I cover the gear, but I have a pretty decent res split, nothing into dexterity, nothing into mana, and then everything else into vitality. So I have a ton of life with this character, good res split, very tanky, and also good damage depending on the area that I farm. So again, I will cover more of that in a little bit. The skill tree though is very straightforward. So for the lightning skill tree, I just have 1 hard point, into all the 1-point wonders. So static field, teleport, and telekinesis, kind of the three standard skills. For the cold skill tree, again, we're fire, so I only have 1 hard point into frozen armor. And then for the fire skill tree, I have completely maxed out fire bolt, fire ball, meteor, and fire mastery. Then I do also have 1 point into all the prerequisites to get Meteor. And then this is where things get a little bit interesting, and it's one of the pros about the build. At this point, you can then choose to invest your remaining points into Enchant if you want to have a harder hitting Mercenary, Warmth if you want more mana recovery, or you can put points into Inferno to boost the average fire damage per second on Meteor. So I went the route of Warmth because you get an insane amount of passive mana recovery with the amount of plus skillers that this build has. So you're pretty much... You have the strength of an Infinity Mercenary, but you also have the mana recovery of an Insight Mercenary all in one, so it's a very, very cool, powerful, and niche setup. So as far as some of the pros go, I want to talk about these first before we jump into the two major fatal flaws for the Fire Sorceress. The first is that the build has insane damage, so with this setup, I'm pretty much one-shotting everything on players 1 all the way up to players 3, depending on the specific areas that you farm. So we're talking like 1 Meteor to kill Indario, 1 Meteor to kill El Mephisto. You can completely run through the cows, the ancient tunnels, Pindle, Neelathak, all great areas for farming like keys or high runes or just certain very rare unique items. So you definitely have fantastic clear speed and you excel in farming certain areas. And again, kind of the second point or second pro is that if you dive into specific level 85 areas, there are locations you can magic find that have hardly any fire immunes or next to no fire immunes. So you can still target farm every single item in this game, have a very hard-hitting sorceress that can stack a lot of magic find, and drop every item in the game. So it is pretty good all-around character, right? But I think this would be a cool, or a good opportunity to segment into the two massive fatal flaws for this build. The first one is that it suffers from the sort of endgame paradox of other builds like the Lightning Sorceress or the Hammerden. By the time you have farmed for and achieved all of the gear to make this character viable, you pretty much already have everything that you need to play through the game, like full towels, optional Torch and Annie, fire skillers, Infinity the Mercenary. It's pretty much mandatory. You basically just suffer from that common problem of like a Hammerden. By the time you have Enigma, Hodo, your peak homes where you're flying through the Chaos Sanctuary, you already have everything in the game, so it definitely suffers from that sort of endgame farming paradox that Lightning Sorceress also suffers from. And the second major con is that this build does not excel in common meta finding areas and for group play experience. So that's the huge issue that people have with this build, is you can't really run through the Chaos Sanctuary as a group because of a lot of fire minions, and you can't really do anything in Bale. You can do a little bit of damage on wave 2 and 4, I believe, and then I think 1, 3, and 5 are always fire immune. So you're not really going to be a good team player for C-Bales. So if you can look past that unfortunate, or those two unfortunate kind of like fatal flaws, this might be a very fun character for you. So I'll break down the gear now. And again, this is very sort of endgame setup. Again, it's that endgame paradox, but you need that sort of gear to make this character build excel. So as far as the gear goes for this build, again, it does suffer from that endgame paradox setup where you need really good gear to make the build viable, and a lot of people have kindly donated gear to make this possible on ladder, so definitely I don't expect a lot of people to have this build yet, but it might be something to shoot for, so you might want to recognize that fact or maybe be upset in the comments. Either one is up to you, but going over the gear, this is obviously a full Tal setup, so I have the orb, the helmet, and the body armor, all with triple fire facets. So I went triple fire facets to boost damage. You could go Istrune in the orb and Perfect Topaz in the helmet and body armor if you want more magic find, but again, I kind of wanted that extra damage, so minus res and plus fire damage, really good. And you do get all the other really nice additional bonuses from the Tal set, so magic find, fast hit recovery, life, and res, very solid setup. This build is pushing almost 300% magic find and over 500% gold find. You might think that's weird, gold find, why do you want so much gold find? Well, one of the key areas that I target farm with this character is the entire Endurance Hate level 3, so you can drop a lot of really good stuff there and also farm a lot of gold for gambling, so that's kind of why I went that route. But again, the amulet is just Tal Rashes, and then I have a 35 FCR Spirit, Mage Fist, not Trangs because the boosted fire skill and mana recovery, and then I have a 15 MF Tal's Belt paired with a 49 MF War Traveler boots. And then for the rings, I have 2 Dwarf Stars, again for Fire Absorb, Life, and Gold Find, because I'm taking a lot of fire damage with the Endurance Hate level 3, so really good solid ring combo. And then the offhand, I have a 6 4/4 CTA and a just plain 32 FCR Spirit. And then for the inventory, again, very endgame sort of setup. I have different assorted plus gold find fire skillers, and a 39 MF 146 gold find Geet's Grand Charm, and different assorted gold find small charms. Again, there's room for improvement. I could drop some of these for more 10 gold find small charms, and then I have a 1920 Source Torch and a 1016 Annie. So the kind of full mock-up breakdown is 531% gold find and 270% magic find. So you'll see when I start doing some example runs, I drop a ton of gold and also have good chance for dropping items because of my MF. And the mercenary setup, currently using, it's kind of funny because the mercenary is half budget, half really good, but Infinity and Ethereal Thresher for that Conviction Aura. Again, it's mandatory to make this build excel because we need to break some fire immunities in some of the select areas that I'm going to cover. So you have to have Infinity, and then I have a Treachery here and a 666 Devil's Treachery base, and then just a plain Tal's Mask. Just a good combo of nearly capping the res before Fade is procced, life stolen per hit, and then when Fade does proc, good damage reduction and increased attack speed, so he's hitting a lot, leeching a lot of life. So ideally I would like to switch to like Enduro's Visage for Helmet and Fortitude, but I haven't quite pulled the trigger on rolling the fort yet. Even though I do have a low rune, I'm not sure why. I should probably get on that. So there are definitely a handful of areas that are viable for farming with Fire Sorcerers. Not going to cover every single example area in the gameplay, but I do want to at least quickly touch on them. So a great area, or some of the great areas, include Hell Cows with Infinity and a really strong Fireball. You can completely obliterate this area, so great for high runes and bases. Another solid choice is Hell Andariel. I do somewhat have kind of a hard time recommending her for Fire Sorcerers, even though she has inherent negative fire res. By the time you achieve the gear to farm her very fast, there's not really a point of actually farming Hell Andariel, but if you do want to target farm for SOJs maybe, it could be a viable choice. Another great location includes the Ancient Tunnels. Believe it or not, a really decked out Fire Sorceress can clear the Ancient Tunnels just as quickly as a Blizzard Sorceress, so you have the chance of dropping every single item in the game because it's a level 85 area, and you can do it with style points as a Fire Sorceress, not a Blizzard Sorceress. Don't be boring. Another really great area is the Endurance Hate level 3. That's actually where I'm going to show off this entire gameplay segment. So definitely solid choice for high runes, bases. Believe it or not, high runes and facets, not bases. Believe it or not, the Bloodlords drop like Pindle if they're a boss back, so you can drop D-Web, Wind Force, stuff like that. And then of course you get the Mephisto kill and the super chests behind Mephisto. So definitely an amazing location for a Fire Sorceress with Infinity. And the last couple areas that I want to round up and talk about is Pindle, so you can break his immunity with Infinity and you can drop almost every item in the game. Eldritch is a quick little one-shot target, and also Neelathak. All very solid options where you can drop really good loot, more so in sort of like solo magic finding setup. Again, this character isn't really the best for group gameplay, unfortunately. So for some gameplay, I'm going to head down to the Durance Hate level 3. That's the first area, and the one area that I'd really like to target farm with this setup. Again, because I have a ton of gold find and magic find, so it's a great location for high runes, facets, unique jewelry, get the Mephisto kill, the super chest kill, and I can just rack up ridiculous amounts of gold because I have almost 600% gold find. So hopefully, for the sake of this video, I can get some decent map RNG. There we go. So you want to try and look for Bloodlord packs. So these guys, Bloodlords, but you want them to be boss packs. So those are just regular white mobs. There's some champion packs. So ideally you want boss packs, because they're level 86, or monster level 86, so they match Pindle. It doesn't look like I have the best map spawn today. That's okay. And then we'll kill the council. Again, tons of gold. Those guys have dropped me high runes and facets. So this wasn't the best map example run. Typically, I will get, you could just say a one-shot Mephisto like that. Usually I'll get at least, ooh, that's a solid small charm. 6% MF, 15 to mana. So anyways, you guys get the idea of the run. Like, I basically one-shotted everything. It was completely fine. Usually I'll get better RNG and try and get like 2 Bloodlord packs that are boss packs. That was just 1 champion pack and a bunch of white minions. But you get the idea. You kill the council, those Bloodlords, and Mephisto. So let's move on. We'll do a quick Neolithak run. Neolithak is really fun to farm as a fire sorceress. Just teleport into the corner, drop a meteor, and static while you're waiting for the meteor to land. And he just gets one-shotted, so he's down this way. So meteor, static, boom, he's dead. You don't have to worry about cold immunities. Like, he will occasionally be fire immune, but with Infinity, more often than not, you can break it. It's nowhere near to the extent of if you farm as a cold sorceress. So a very, very easy Pindle kill. Neolithak kill. You can throw Eldritch and Shank into the mix if you want. A couple fireballs and he's dead. And then we'll wrap everything up with a Pindle run. So yeah, definitely a fun character to play. I mean, look at the way Meteor looks. It's just gorgeous looking. Skill, fire looks great. And definitely, I hope by the end of this video, I potentially have convinced you guys to try playing something other than a Lightning Sorceress or a Hammered In. And again, if you don't like this build, you can always respec and play Lightning, but the purpose of this video is to try and broaden your character choices to something other than the meta in Diablo 2 Resurrected. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this video, and again, let me know in the comment section below if I potentially convince you guys to try Fire Sorceress. If not, I mean, sound off. If you think it's a horrible character, that's completely fine as well. But as always, if you guys could throw a like on this video, share it, and even consider subscribing if you're new to my channel. I post new weekly content on YouTube, and I do stream twice a week on Twitch. 20 follows on Twitch or subs on YouTube would be amazing. Other than that, guys, hope you have a fan-frickin-tastic day, and I'll catch you on my next video or live stream. Peace out.